Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger and my friends. This is your beginner's guide slash just tutorial all around play guide to Darkstalkers 3 Vampire Savior. So the Capcom Fighting Collection is coming out very soon at the time I'm making this video, and is bringing Darkstalkers to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, basically everywhere it's not been for many years outside of emulation. And with that, lots of people love Darkstalkers, a lot of people know about Darkstalkers and never had a chance to play it. So with that said, here's a guide on how to play the game. Now, to note, before we get into it, this is indeed Vampire Savior we're talking about, otherwise known as Darkstalkers 3. If you're playing through the collection, or just emulation or whatever, this is considered the quote-unquote main Darkstalkers game. This is the one that's been competitive for well over 20 years now. This is the one that people still play to this day. So there are other versions of the game, yes, but they all have different rule sets, they have different characters, so that's not the one we're talking about. We're talking specifically about Vampire Savior. So that all said, let's talk just first the absolute baby basics first, because you got to start somewhere, so let's start here. So this game is what we call a 6-button fighter. So you have 6 attacks: light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, light kick, medium kick, and heavy kick. Simple enough, right? And this is also a back to block game, so hold back or down back to block, and yes, air blocking is allowed, so no need for a dedicated block button here. Also, since this game is, old school, throws are also old school. So generally speaking, you hit back or forward, heavy punch or heavy kick, and you'll throw the opponent in those directions, and you tech throws much the same way. A lot of special moves are done in the general way you would expect. We have Morgan here, the flagship character of the franchise. You want your fireball, quarter circle forward and punch, and depending on the strength of your punch and strength of the fireball, have an uppercut here, dragon punch motion, and a punch. The heavier the button, higher it goes, lower the button, or rather lighter the strength, the lower it goes. And because it's an old style game, have a spinning pile driver, because why not, right? Every character has their own very unique move lists. So I suggest looking that up if you're on the Fighting Collection, and checking a wiki if you're playing on PC through an emulator or something like that. Everyone has a big varied move list, and pretty much no character plays anything like any other character, so you really need to know how their moves work. Now here's an incredibly important thing to just let you know out of the bat here. Movement. Movement is almost not universal at all, in that almost everyone has their own specific movements that to play with. You can hold forward or back or whatever. That part is about the closest thing we get to universal, like jumping. Like Morgan, her dash. What's Morgan's dash? Oh, she flies up into the sky. If you play Guilty Gear, for example, you might say, oh, this is like Eno's. Yeah, well, this is where Eno got that from. Spoiler for a lot of these characters, you're going to notice this, like, oh, it's like this character from this other game. And that character from that other game got it from Darkstalkers, just so you know. So Morgan, instead of a dash, goes up high in the sky, and she can go even like way high up. She can super jump up. She can back with their jet instead of a regular back dash. That's just one example. Let's show you a couple more. Okay, how about QB? So QB has a regular back dash, okay. Has a regular dash forward, okay, that's good, right? And a lot of characters with more regular dashes, you can cancel their dash into any given attack. So it's a strong way to get your offense forward. But some differences here is, one, she has an air dash. And her air dash basically homes in wherever you are. And yes, that means she can do stuff like instant air dashes, right? And also, she can get an offense going from it as well. And that's a big part of her offense, is doing instant air dash into unseeable overheads. And because why not, she can just kind of hold in place and hover in the air. So that's also unique to QB. That's not really something a lot of characters can do. And then we get to someone like Anakaris, like, oh, okay, so now all of a sudden, big floaty jumps. And he can also kind of like sort of double jump, which is, he can float a little bit after the fact, as you can see here. Or you can just kind of like hover in place or just chill in the air and boot you from there, which is weird. Hey, got a normal dash. That's great, but his back dash, well, it can get a little weird, as you can see here. Because when he backdashes against the corner, Anakaris just teleports to the other side. So this is what I'm trying to instill on you. The basics of movement, like the absolute basics, like in that you can move forward and back and crouch and stuff, and do a regular jump. Well, actually, Anacharos can't do a regular jump. He can only jump diagonally, otherwise you get that weird stuff, right? So everyone has some very specific rules, so whichever character you decide to get attached to, really play around in training mode or just mess around just to see what they got, because Darkstalkers is a very unique game, and a big part of it is everyone has wildly different rule sets. Now, let's get into some of the basics of offense. Let's talk combos. So, this being an older style game from the 90s, you're not going to have, for the most part, giant combos. And a big part of that is how combo structure works. So, this is what we call a Magic Series, Gatling, chain system, whatever you want to call it. This is how it works. In that, light attacks go into heavies. So, this is stand light punch. This is stand medium punch, right? And I can go light punch into medium punch. And I can go light punch into medium punch into heavy punch. Simple enough, right? Now, much the same here, the kicks. I can go light kick into medium kick into heavy kick. So light kick, medium kick, heavy kick. Now, as you can see as well, it doesn't necessarily, just because it can chain together, always connect, because not all moves have the same reach. So in this scenario, instead of doing light kick, medium kick, heavy kick, and having it all connect as a combo, I'll do light kick, medium kick into sweep, because you can do any combination of standing or crouching normals. And this, that hits just fine. In fact, Sasquatch's sweep is really, really good, yo. But yeah, so that's the basics of chain. So you can do any combination of standing normals or crouching normals, whatever works for you. And you can mix and match. And also, you can go punches into kicks. So light punch into light kick. There you go. But you cannot go kicks into punches. That doesn't work. It has to be specifically punches into kicks. And just like you can go lights into mediums into heavies, you can also go light punch, light kick, medium kick, heavy punch, heavy kick. And just sort of chain them all together, as you can see there. So that's a natural 4-hit combo. You don't necessarily always have to go for the full chain. In fact, most of the time you can't, right? Like if I try the full 6-button chain, like I'm just gonna get pushed out. It's not gonna work, right? So you need to do what works for your character. Like someone like Sasquatch, like that's good enough for the most part. Maybe if you know you have the right distance, you can sneak an extra hit in, but that's about it. Now here's the thing about normals and special cancels. Obviously everyone has a lot of special moves. They can do all sorts of things. You can do any single hit into a special move. That is fine and allowed. That's great. No matter what the special is, for the most part anyways. You can do whatever normal and then go into a special move. But you cannot do any chains into specials. So here's stand medium punch. I can do that just fine into my big boot. That's great. But if I were to chain into stand medium punch just from a light punch, doesn't work anymore. And like it'll give me the input for heavy kick because my motion here is Dragon Punch motion heavy kick. So it'll try to give me the chain, but I cannot do the special move. You can only do special moves from singleton hits. Doesn't matter what the hit is, but it has to be a single hit. So just keep this in mind when you're like just fishing and poking and stuff. A poke into a special is just fine, but a poke into a chain into a special, for the most part, is not happening. Once again, lots of combos in this game are just basic Magic Series, like a light into a medium into a heavy, done. And when it's not, it's usually just a quick normal into a special. This game is very fast-paced, damage is very high, and combos for the most part, I want to stress this because every character has special rules that break the rules, right? But for the most part, it's really as simple as just quick chain, you're good to go, get your knockdown, and just keep attacking at the enemy. Now, let's talk meters. As with pretty much any fighting game, your meter is your lifeblood, right? We're both going to talk about the super meters and the health meters, because the way Darkstalker does health is very unique. And yeah, unique to the point where it's been copied in later games, and we'll talk about that. But first, let's talk your super meters. So first up, being an older game before we get anything else, normals affect your meter. As you can see here, I'm just going to spam this as medium kick, and you can see my meter's going up. So anything that's a medium or a heavy attack will make your meter go up. And of course, doing special moves also makes your meter go up as well. But yeah, basically everything that's not a light attack will make your meter go up. And of course, hitting the enemy and like like all sorts of the usual stuff that helps too. But just keep in mind, if you are almost about to get a new bar, just whiff a normal and you'll get just a little bit extra meter and you'll get that bar. Now here's a big one. This game has EX attacks. They're called ES attacks, but EX attacks like anything you would know in any other fighting game, right? So Sasquatch as our example, down punch, big ice cage. And it's an alright move. But his EX ice cage, this guy right here, is one of the best moves in the game. Like flat out, right? And all ES/EX moves always take 1 meter to perform. So doesn't matter what it is, it's always 1 meter to perform. Now, Sasquatch is considered like a semi-grappler character, right? In that he does have one of the big grapples. Like straight up, like right here, you can see here, double 360, 720 kick, right? So like a Zangief style grab. And this big Zangief style grab, well, it also just takes 1 bar. So a simple EX move and this big 720 grab, they're both just 1 meter. And that's how it works across the board. Supers or EX moves, like regular move, EX move, 1 meter. Super only move, 1 meter. Like however it works, it is always going to be 1 meter. So keep that in mind. That also said, in this game, supers are not necessarily fully devastating, and a lot of EX moves are stronger than you'd think. So they're a lot closer together than they are in a lot of other fighting games. For the most part in this game, with a few rare exceptions, every single special move has an EX version, and it's really as simple as just hitting 2 buttons instead of 1, right? So if your move just takes a kick, hit 2 kicks, you'll get the EX version. And a lot of characters have very unique super-only moves that, just the same, take a bar, look through your moves list, see what you have. Some characters, they love their supers, and some characters, maybe they don't care too much, right? It's character to character. So now, let's talk health. So the basics of health is simple enough, right? Knock it out, you win. Easy, right? But a couple more things. First, you might notice here, I'm hitting Dimitri, and the health goes down, sure, but there's this little white bit. So that white bit is indeed recoverable health. And in this game here, recoverable health, as you can see, it recovers very fast. Like if you don't want someone to recover that white health, you gotta be just like non-stop on top of them. It can't regenerate if they're actively blocking, but other than just, constantly hitting them, as you can see here, it's not going up when they're blocking, right? But other than just beating them up, this health will keep coming back. White health is a big part, and that means health bars are a lot more fluid, I guess you could say, than they are in a lot of other fighting games. As long as they got some white health to get back, as long as they just don't get hit at all in any way, shape, or form, for just a split second, they will start regenerating that health. That's a very big deal. Now, here's the other really big deal. There's no rounds in Vampire Savior. You might notice here there's 2 bats by the names, right? Bats are basically your lives, because in a normal fighting game, say you die in the corner, right? As Dimitri's about to. Die in the corner? Well, in most other fighting games, okay, you beat me, round 2, let's fight, back to center. This game, not so much. And you're just dead. And we get right back to it, as you can see there. So I'm fighting the CPU right now, but yeah. Dying in the corner means there's no reset, you're just all the way dead. This is how fast this stuff can end. There's no game holding your hand or anything. If you die, you just die. That's about the long and short of it. As you can see, now is it. That's the whole round. That's 2 out of 3. That's it. That's all. That's how this game works. So games can be very fast. So just keep that in mind about health. Health is a very precious resource in this game. In that, if you get your butt beat, if you can just hold off the enemy for a little bit, you'll actually get a decent amount of that health directly back. So the health bar is a lot longer in a lot of ways than it is in a normal fighting game. But if you just get walloped, and especially if you die in the corner, you just wake up in the corner. And things can be just as bad. If you play some other modern fighters, like say Injustice. Injustice follows much the same the style of combat. No distinct rounds, just think of them as lives. You have 2 lives, that's it. Now, to talk knockdowns, there's a couple important things. One is there's a universal pursuit attack. And how you do it is you'll just knock down the enemy. That part's easy enough, right? And hit up and any button while they're knocked down, and you'll just do a follow-up attack. So here's the thing though. Generally speaking, you kind of want to forgo it and just like pressure them more as they're waking up, because these pursuit attacks only do white health damage. So you can see right there, I just did it, right? And there's more damage sure on the table, but it's all recoverable damage. So if you really believe in it, then yes, absolutely go for it. But for the most part, it's generally considered not as worth it. No, one thing to keep in mind, you can also do an EX pursuit attack, and it's just hit up and any 2 buttons at the same time. And yes, it's still all white damage, but it's more white damage. Now, at the bare minimum though, just keep this in mind, you can kill with this move. So even though generally speaking, it is more preferable to just go for the pressure instead of like a little bit of white damage, if you can get the kill, take the kill by all means. So just keep that in mind. Now, a big part of the knockdown game is also, what do you do when you get knocked down, right? You do have options in this game. So if you get knocked down, if you do nothing, simple enough, you just get up on your own. But when you're knocked down, if you hold forward or backwards and a button, you will tech roll in that direction. So as you see here, I did tech roll forwards and backwards. So depending on your situation where you are on the screen, there's right and wrong answers, right? Sometimes you just need the space, you want to get away. Sometimes, you know, the enemy knows you're trying to get away and will rush you down. That's when you go forward. And sometimes doing nothing is the right answer. But yeah, once again, very simple. When you're on the ground, just hold forward or backwards and any button, and you will tech roll in that direction. So very important, so you just don't get blown up for free, because if you don't know how to do any kind of wake up, the enemy will very easily take advantage of you. So know your options on defense. Now let's talk another very unique part of this game, the Dark Force. So the Dark Force is activated by hitting any 2 buttons together that are punch and kick. So light punch, you know, light kick, heavy punch, heavy kick, whatever, doesn't matter. Any 2, and boom, look at this. And everything's all crazy now, right? Dark Force is unique for every character in the game. No 2 Dark Forces are the same. They always take 1 meter, just like everything else in the game, as we went over earlier in the video. Be it a super, be it an EX, everything is 1 meter in this game. So for QB, as you see here, it just gives her full-on proper flight. And like, she can do all of her stuff, like that's fine. But, you know, her movement's a little weird, but then again, it's also harder to deal with her movement. But let's try a different character. Now, someone like Felicia in her Dark Force, she gets a little buddy. Look at this. How crazy is that? And when she does basically anything, that little buddy is gonna come out and attack. For someone like Felicia, she likes the Dark Force a lot. Some other characters, maybe they don't like their Dark Force as much. It's not worth the meter compared to some of their other options. But for someone like Felicia, it's a pretty big deal. It's just more pressure, and it's very annoying pressure, because now not only do you have to worry about whatever Felicia's doing, this crazy little buddy is also just leaping all over the place and will definitely hit you as well. Some characters have multiple Dark Forces. So someone like Victor, he's got a really slow dash, as you can see, right? He's the big grappler dude. He's got a very slow dash, and one of his more interesting properties is a lot of his punches and stuff like that, or just any attacks really, they're modular, in that here's regular heavy kick, but if I hold it, it becomes electric. In fact, pretty much all of his normals, if I hold them, they become electric except for the lights, right? Now, if I enter this Dark Force, which is specifically heavy punch and heavy kick, now all of his moves are electric, as you can see here. And his butt, as you can see, well, it's a very electrifying butt. And also his dash, now way better versus the slow crap it was before, right? So he becomes like a faster, more brutalizing version of his regular self when he has this Dark Force up. But that's heavy punch and heavy kick. He also has Dark Forces that are medium punch and medium kick, or light punch and light kick. Now, in these versions, I already tell the activation is a little bit different. And you might notice here, this is light punch, medium punch, heavy punch. Okay. Seems to be all the same thing, right? Because now they're all big grab. So while he's in this mode here, his grappling ability is a lot better. So one, his grappling is better. The other one, his striking is better. So some people, they got multiple to work with, and you just got to determine which one's the more viable one for whatever situation you happen to be in. And for someone like Morgan, well, Morgan, You've seen it in other games. Hey, there's two Morgans, and they both can attack at the same time, right? So everyone's Dark Force is unique. Some are better than others. Some people want to use it. Some people, they don't care too much. But Dark Force is a very unique factor in the game. Now, let's get into a few more advanced concepts. One, there's push blocking in this game. Hey, if you know Marvel vs. Capcom at all, you know push blocking. Except in this game, it's a lot more wonky. Let's put it that way, right? In Marvel or whatever, you block, you hit two buttons, they bounce off, easy peasy. In this game, not as much. So in this game, you can push block anytime you block. That part's easy enough. As long as you block an attack, you have a window available to you that you can push block. But here's the thing, push block is based on your inputs. So basically, the more inputs you put in, the higher your chance to do a push block. In this game, to successfully push block, you need at least, at minimum, during your block stun, 3 separate inputs. But here's the thing, 3 separate inputs, it's not a guarantee. In fact, it's quite a low chance. I had to look this up in the wiki, but apparently 3 inputs gives you only a 25% chance at a push block, right? Which is, well, very low. Like, as you can see here, I'm just going to keep doing it until we get it. And, odds are we get it eventually, but 3 inputs does not give me too much of a window with a very low chance to do a push block. Once again, too, you only have a very small window after you do your block animation to successfully do this. There we go. And I see there, it said tech hit. So that's when you know you successfully did your push block. So basically, the more inputs you input in that very small window, the higher your chance to get a push block is. 3 inputs is the minimum, and it's only a 25% chance. Going by the wiki here, it says here you have 4 presses, you'll have a 50% chance. 5 presses is a 75% chance, and 6 presses is guaranteed 100%. But the problem is, it's a very small window, and if you want to do like 6 inputs, you were basically like mashing. And block windows can be very small in this game, right? Like, if I'm just like staggering attacks and stuff like that, and you're trying to push block, there's a very real chance if you're push blocking, hitting buttons, especially getting a small window, they're going to let you do that. You're going to start to do a move instead because you're out of your block window, and they're going to counter hit and kill you. So that's a big part of the game. So push block, mathematically, unless you have fingers of steel and get 6 inputs in a fraction of a second, 6 separate inputs at that, it's hard. Practice it. If you're on the collection, there's a training mode, as you can see here. Very handy training mode. You can see exactly how many frames you hold and stuff, all that kind of stuff. It's good. I like it. But it's difficult to push block in this game. In this game, on top of push block when you block, there is also guard cancels. Now, guard cancels is different character to character, and everyone has a assigned unique move to this. So for Sasquatch, it's this big tornado kick here. And the window, well, you do the move. Just the window to do it in is very short. Very short. Now you can see right there, right? I'm not gonna lie to you, that took me like 9-10 tries to get, because that is how strict the window is. So the move, you can do the regular version, or if it has the EX, you can do the EX version of the move instead. It's totally up to you. And just because you guard cancel doesn't mean it's a guaranteed hit. If they recover quick or one of many different options, they can just as easily block it. And if that move is punishable, it can be punished. But basically, once again, check your character's move list, because every character is different for every character, right? It'll say GC beside it if it's guard cancelable. And if you can input it within a couple frames of blocking, then you'll get the guard cancel the block into that various move. Another thing to mention here is about air blocking. So this is a game where, yes, you can indeed block in the air, as you can see there. But there's a couple notes about air blocking. One, as you can see here, like I blocked that uppercut just fine. Like, no bigs, right? That's good. However, if you do any kind of move in the air, you will lose your ability to block in the air. Like, that's not necessarily I'm getting punished here. It's not a punish. Just, I did my move, I whiffed, and once you do anything in the air, you no longer have the ability to air block. So the only safe way to air block is to just jump in and hold back. That's about it. And that's only against other air moves or special moves. No matter what, you are not allowed to block against grounded normals. So if their feet are planted on the ground and they're just hitting a regular normal button, you cannot air block that. And sure as sugar, I couldn't block it. I can block her actual uppercut, right? But I cannot block that because the uppercut is a special move that's okay to air block, but a grounded normal can't do it. So just keep that in mind. Basically, you do have the ability to defend yourself in the air, but there are a few things, there's a little bit of a give and take with it. You can defend yourself in the air, but not against everything. And if you want to go offense, then you'll lose your ability to do defense. And that all said, should help you get your feet on the ground. Now, in a lot of ways, Darkstalkers, Vampire Savior is not a complex game. Like, offense can literally just be ABC, right? But a lot of the depth comes from just how the characters themselves work and how character interactions work. Like we have Rico here, sometimes known as Allbath, sometimes known as Fish. Like a lot of things we talked about, like the dash. His dash is very low to the ground, and he keeps all the momentum on his dash when he attacks. And that, for a big part of his offense, is a big deal. Stuff like the Dark Force we went over earlier, right? As you see here, he sort of flies, or glides, or whatever, surfs, whatever word you want to use, while he's doing it. And during this whole time, he has hyper armor, meaning you can't knock him out of this. Like, he becomes a big bully. So for him, Dark Force, it's a pretty alright deal. For other characters, maybe not so much. He's got a lot of fun tools. Like right now, the enemy is set to block literally everything. You can see it right here. Block. Oh, sure enough. Hey, he's got a true unblockable. And from that true unblockable, he can hit you. Do other characters have true unblockables like that? Not really. Because that's his thing. So a lot of the characters are just incredibly unique. I know I'm saying this a lot, but I just really hammer that home. This is not a game with like a Akuma Ken Ryu situation where, sure, they're different, but, they share a lot of DNA. Everyone in this game is very much completely a world unto themselves, have their own unique rule sets, and are just really crazy, and have went on in the years of fighting games to directly inspire a lot of other fighting game characters. So play around with it. It's fun. It's great. Darkstalkers, Vampire Savior, it's a great game. There's a reason it has stood the test of time. And hopefully this guide has helped you understand a lot of how the basics work. Not too long after this video is posted, I'll be posting another video just going over the cast as a whole. So check the end of this video. It's either about to happen, and if it already happened, then it'll be linked at the end of this video, and there you go, right? But anyways, my friends, that is the video for now. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Darkstalkers.